welcome to No Such Thing as a Bad Movie podcast. I'm April Atmansky, and I'm here today with...
Justin DeClue.
And Colin Cunningham.
And who do we have on the line?
What? Somebody else?
I am Joe Ramoni from Hats Off Entertainment.
Hello, Joe. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Hello, Joe.
Hello, Joe.
So I'm a big fan of your YouTube channel, Hats Off Entertainment. I think I discovered it in, I think it was 2020 with your Planes, Trains, and Automobiles episode, which was like the missing version of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles because of all the stuff that was cut out. And I found it very, very interesting. And I'm pretty sure I've watched probably all your videos. I love the ones that talk about like, kind of obscure, bad, usually like 90s movies. I guess that would be like the Forgotten Failures ones.
Yeah.
But you also do ones where you talk about like movies that are underappreciated. So how long have you been doing the YouTube channel?
Since about 2020. So it kind of got timed right with the pandemic, and I've been doing, I have YouTube work out there that collectively has like 400 views. So not great stuff. But yeah, it just Hats Off was a project I launched during the pandemic. I was a little bit bored. And it fortunately took off. So it's been great to connect with people. And I was listening to your podcast, and I heard April. I think it was when you did Ernest Scared Stupid. And you mentioned, I watched this YouTube video on Jim Varney from Hats Off. And it was like, Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the TV. Like, that's me. I felt that way. So it's been so cool to connect with you and find out that, you were listening to my work as well.
That's great. How did you find our podcast?
Believe it or not, we were launching a podcast extension of our channel, and originally the concept was exactly what you guys are doing. It was going to be just profiling like movies that are notoriously bad and trying to find the good things in them. So your podcast actually helped us like figure out our own niche, which we kind of do like almost cult classics, so movies that could have had a bigger cult following. So thanks to the great work you're doing, it kind of pushed us in a new direction and helped us find our voice. So it was great.
Hey, that's cool.
That's great to hear.
I'm putting my hand out for the check.
Yeah, there you go.
For
the royalties.
Yeah.
So, Baby's Day Out. That's what we're talking about today.
The smiles are already on our faces. We're all ready to laugh, right, guys?
It feels like I've seen this movie before, but I have not. This is my first watch.
Were you the baby?
No.
Okay.
Baby Bink.
Now, is anyone going to come in here, I'm looking at you, Joe, or April, and be like, this is a 4-star movie?
I'm going to say no on mine for me. I did see this as a kid. I recall that.
No, not a 4-star for me. You guys talked about doing this before. I feel like I've heard it mentioned on the show before.
I'm not sure.
I feel like I've
it's
threatened
come up
it
a few times.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I watched it with some of my friends, and it's always been a point of interest for me because I'm kind of fascinated by the career of Patrick Reed Johnson, the director of this film.
Yeah.
I don't know how familiar you guys are with his films.
I saw he did some Dragonheart sequels
and
Spaced Invaders.
He didn't direct he was supposed to direct the original Dragonheart, and he was fired. And I think they still use his story by credit, which is why he keeps, based on characters created by.
Oh, okay. So that wasn't director's cut. I hate the new IMDb, by the way.
It's awful.
You're just now complaining about it? It's been bad for like a year.
So that was probably just like listing his writing credits or something.
So you know what's funny about him? He I don't know. This is going back when the IMDb message boards were a thing. I remember he was like actively commenting on his movies boards. He would engage with fans. And
he still does on Letterboxd.
Does he really? Yeah, he had this movie, I think, that's been in production for like 15 years called 5/25/77.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's been 15 years, and it's out now. And I remember watching the first trailer. The premise is, like, the trailer makes it look like a kid wants to go see Star Wars on the first day that it comes out. Mm-hmm. That's not what the movie's about. It takes place over, like, years of the kid's life, it feels. And the final movie, because he was never able to really complete it, is such a fascinating train wreck filled with like green screen and cobbled together scenes. The film is 2 hours and 12 minutes long.
So a complete repeat of Baby's Day Out in terms of
Baby's
special
Day
effects
Out
that don't quite line up. And
oh man, he wishes he had Baby's Day Out. I mean, Baby's Day Out, we'll get into it, did cost $50 million to make.
Oh my God.
And also LucasArts worked on it and
ILM
worked on it.
Yeah, this was a big deal because I think the I think there's like one shot where Baby Bink is looking out over Chicago, and it does this pan over, and I think that was a CGI.
Yeah,
Really,
and the funny
very
story
early
about
CGI.
him was that John Hughes hired him to direct Dennis the Menace.
Oh, was it
And-
Dennis the Menace? I thought it was Home Alone.
No, it was Dennis the Menace, and like I guess he decided to give John Hughes some notes on that, like right before they went into production, and like his agent apparently called him and was like, yeah, you're off the project."
Oh my God.
I think it was like years later. Like he never expected to hear from John Hughes again, and like he got a phone call at 3 a.m. and John Hughes was like, "I've got this script." He kind of apologized for everything that happened. Said, "I thought you hated the movie. I thought you didn't want to do it," and was like, "I got this other script about a kid that like battles bad guys in slapstick ways." And I think he felt so pressured at that point in his career, like not to piss off John Hughes, so he agreed to do it. When it was like apparently this legendary script in the industry, like this unfilmable movie about like a baby.
How would it read? It's like the baby then crosses the street and cars almost hit him. Now,
Yeah.
I just checked as Joe was talking. Patrick Reed Johnson does claim he passed on Home Alone.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
Okay.
what he says.
Haunted
there-
by it.
That's another like weird thing where I think Chris Columbus was supposed to direct Christmas Vacation, and shocker, did not see eye to eye with Chevy Chase, so he dropped out of that. And John Hughes, I feel like John Hughes just had a desk full of scripts that was like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
you don't want to do this one? Here's another one for you. Just go do that one. And I'm fascinated by John Hughes like post Home Alone, because you look at the John Hughes of the 80s versus the John Hughes after 1990, and it's almost like two completely different filmographies and styles.
Yeah.
I'm kind of fascinated how John Hughes just kind of like quietly retired after what's the movie that I always think it's like a spin-off of something else, the last film that he directed?
The last film he directed was Curly Sue, which was
Curly
91.
Sue. Yeah, that's what I
which
was thinking of.
my
I can't
God, I
blame him
remember
because
that.
I think Jim Belushi would make anyone walk away from the industry forever. So
The Belushi. We're big fans on this podcast.
yeah.
And like
Patron saint.
at the time that he passed away, I remember speaking of patron saints, Kevin Smith went to his funeral.
Oh God.
And he
course.
mentioned on a podcast that like his wife said that he never stopped writing up until the day that he died.
Yeah, oddly enough, apparently he became really good friends with like Vince Vaughn towards the end of his life. Like the two of them were really good friends. Yeah, and he was just like he was there if anyone sought him out, in like suburban Chicago where he had this farm. And I guess just like occasionally people would reach out to him, but he was not interested in doing anything regarding Hollywood.
That's a bummer. I mean, maybe he's like, I've said everything I needed to say with my trilogy of She's Having a Baby, which is actually more interesting than people would think, considering that it's like the forgotten John Hughes directed film, Uncle Buck and Curly Sue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a weird that he walked away from directing, but kind of kept producing and writing and cranking out these scripts because, I think he enjoyed that more because he could just like do it at home. He didn't have to really engage with the
Yeah,
Hollywood
that's
system. He could just write these scripts in his his office and pass them on.
One of his last story by credits was the Judd Apatow production Drill Bit Taylor. We all remember Drill
my
Bit Taylor,
God.
right?
No.
I mean, I remember
Yeah.
it, but
What was
I
it?
didn't see it.
Owen Wilson.
Yeah.
Owen Wilson.
Oh
Credited
my God.
as Edmund Dantes on that one. He had a pen name that he would use for like movies he was in, like because that was the thing. There was scripts of his just in circulation in Hollywood, and studios would. I think Made in Manhattan is another one that he had he wrote years ago, and they
With the Edmund Dantes credit.
yeah, found in a drawer somewhere. I'm like, all right, let's make. And he was, I guess when you write like that, you have the option to use a different name if you don't want to be associated with it. And he did that for a lot of movies towards like the end of his career.
Yeah, if you look at his screenwriting credits, it's kind of wild, the stinkers that he did, like 101 Dalmatians, the live-action version, Flubber. He's credited with writing, not just story by, on Home Alone 3.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
I did know that.
Ugh.
Not that I've seen that movie.
Well, Christmas
Maybe
is
I've seen-
coming.
yeah. Oh boy. But like he was such a big name. Like doesn't this like movie start off with like a John Hughes film?
Production or something
yeah,
like that,
Like
yeah.
his name is like front and center.
Yeah.
Well, he was 20th Century Fox's kind of like golden boy there because, Warner was supposed to produce Home Alone and he wanted like an extra $2 million, which they wouldn't give him. So he called their bluff and took it to Fox weeks before it was supposed to start filming. And, it became such a mega hit that Fox was willing to just sanction anything by him. Like, that's why I think this movie has such a high budget and why they kind of just let it get out of control because those first two Home Alone movies made them so much money. And
Yeah.
you look at the movies he did after this, and it's like, Miracle on 34th Street and, You know, there were some other ones for Fox that just did not. I think Dutch, I don't know if you ever saw that one. It's kind of like another Thanksgiving road trip movie.
Yeah, it was Ed O'Neill, I think. Was that
Yeah.
one.
So it's like they were willing to just kind of let him do whatever. And I think it wasn't until like Home Alone 3 in 97, where they were they all parted ways and didn't work together after that.
Oh, wow.
But, they're giving the keys to the kingdom to Patrick Reed Johnson. I was surprised to learn that. I thought this is the one that killed his career, but a couple years after this, he made Angus, which is like kind of like a 90s classic that people, if they saw it when they were the right age, they love. It has like a really 90s soundtrack that is probably its biggest claim to fame.
Who's in that? Angus?
Angus. He plays himself.
I've heard of that movie.
Yeah. I think I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
George C. Scott is in it.
Oh, boy.
Kathy
my
Bates,
God.
Kevin Connolly.
What is it about? Is it like a teen movie?
Wait, Irvin Kershner? It's a teen. It's like a high school. It's like the main teen, Angus, is a bit of a loser who some would say is a little chubby. And the synopsis of Angus is a miserable fat teenager secretly has a crush on the class beauty.
And is that
I'm laughing already.
George C. Scott? Is he the fat teenager? That'd be
Playing
amazing.
a teenager. He could do anything.
It's kind of like Clifford, but it's George C. Scott.
I would love that.
That would be amazing.
Irvin Kershner has a main role in the movie. It's like
What?
Angus is like, listen, I need all my cameos like John the Murderer Landis does. We got Irvin Kershner and
John the Murderer Landis.
a friend of mine once said that, and it's stuck in my head since then.
Has anyone seen Spaced Invaders? Is it that? I mean, because it obviously
It's fun.
put him on the map.
No, I haven't.
I mean, I've
seen
heard of it. I know nothing about it.
Was it a hit though, or was it just like a syndication hit? Because I know that I have the Kino Blu-ray, and they talk about a lot like this was supposed to kind of like lift off. Is that a Touchstone film or a Hollywood Pictures film? And that like it just didn't do so well, but it would play endlessly on TBS. And I would see it all the time playing there. It's a Halloween film too.
Well, I read earlier that like apparently like Spielberg wanted to work with him,
Yeah.
and John Hughes saw it and obviously wanted to work with him. So it obviously people who saw it were really impressed by it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I definitely recognize those aliens.
Well,
I've never seen this movie, though.
You get the sense that like he had that kind of like Spielberg, all these people were really big fans of him. He was probably really good in a room, and if he maybe had been able to direct Dragonheart, it could have led to something else. Even though that now that I'm thinking it, who directed Dragonheart?
Well, now that movie I've seen.
Of course.
Maybe he's just one of those directors who's just a really nice guy to work with.
Oh,
Yeah.
the director
the-
of Dragonheart or Patrick Reed Johnson?
No, Patrick Reed Johnson.
Oh,
Because
Dragonheart is Rob Cohen. How could I forget?
Oh, that's right.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
We've said like many times about like certain directors who have like very baffling careers. They're allowed to like just keep directing, and like maybe they're just nice people.
Rennie Harlan.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if he's a nice person.
But like, what was the production like of this movie? Do you think like troubled?
So funny story. When I did that Planes Trains video about the lost scenes, I received an email from someone, and I was getting a lot at that point about that video, and it was just someone like, hey, I worked on Baby's Day Out, and I got to know John Hughes a little bit, and he told me they shot enough footage to like make 2 movies out of that, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Like, what did you do on Baby's Day Out? And the email came back. It was like, I played Vico, one of the kidnappers. And
He was Vico, that guy?
I do
Oh my
a double
God.
take, and it was Brian Haley. And
Yeah.
So the third guy.
Oh my
the
God.
third guy.
The other guy.
Because
So
like you
I,
look at
like-
the cast and it's like Joe Mantegna, Joey Pants, and Brian Haley, I guess.
Guy, but he looks familiar though.
Yes, he
Yeah.
does.
yeah, this is a Joe-heavy episode, guys. You have me, and then you have 2 other Italian Joes in this movie. So,
So many Joes.
but I basically just said to Brian, I was like, I just have so many questions about this movie. So I really started to pick his brain a lot about it, and he basically just told me that the script and everything read really funny. Like everyone was really enthused about it. And John Hughes was really involved in the production early on, but then kind of started to back away from it and kind of just abandon it towards the end. And everyone was just kind of left miffed by that. And, because Patrick Reed Johnson, he directed just that one other movie. So, and this is a large undertaking for,
Oh, yeah.
a second-time director.
Oh, big
The
time.
special
Oh, my
effects and just, a baby is your star. So I think there was just a lot of confusion behind the scenes. And I think that apparently they did a test screening, and like John Hughes and Patrick were got into like a shouting match about it. And they agreed. They're like, all right, we'll come back tomorrow. There's a good movie here. We'll work through it. And like that night, John Candy died, and John Hughes just completely like Patrick never heard from him again.
Oh
So
my God.
there's a lot of things stacked against it that
Wow.
ultimately happened. But I think there is kind of a good movie in here. It's just, it's I don't know about you, but I found it way too long.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
I
It's
think
like,
one of the big problems with the movie is that it needs that extra bump of manic energy
yeah.
to like
Totally
sell the
agree.
gags. That I feel some of the gags don't build up, and you feel like, oh, there's like one or two more beats that are missing here. Like, I think my favorite thing, and I'll say it right now, is when the baby is in Joe Montana's pants. Because I think that's the
that
best.
scene goes on
It's
for
very
so long.
uncomfortable.
I was
It's
gonna say
supposed to be
I
uncomfortable.
timed that scene because I'm watching it. I'm like, I don't remember the scene being that long. It's like 15 minutes. It's
It
like
goes,
from like
it's
frame to
insane.
frame. Yeah, it's
yeah,
like
it goes on and
I love
on.
that sequence. That feels like a Stephen Chow sequence where it's like gag after gag after gag.
yeah, it's like every time the cops walk away, it's just like, they're coming back.
There's
Oh,
one more.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think the worst part for me is we keep cutting back to this like flabby sad sack story with the mom.
The mom.
You know,
Why
cut
do we
that
keep
stuff
cutting back to the
out.
mom?
just lose it. This like movie's an hour 45 or something like that.
Yeah.
no,
you know.
it could be like an hour 20.
I remembered
Oh,
as a kid watching this
easily.
movie, and I thought like the big end set piece was that construction sites. And when it
Yeah.
starts
Yeah.
in the movie, I hit pause, and there was 29 minutes left.
Oh my god.
And I was
That's
like,
insane.
what happens? I didn't remember. Like, I thought that was the end of the movie, but
And they have
even
to go
that
in,
scene
like,
itself goes on for like 20 minutes of just them getting hit with
that's
things
the
in that
only thing.
construction
I thought
site.
the entire movie was this construction site. Like
Okay, we need to talk about our confusion. So, was this movie based on something?
No.
Because, okay, we thought it was based on Looney Tunes
I
cartoons.
could swear
No,
there
well,
was
it's
a,
inspired by Looney Tunes
It's
cartoons.
inspired.
Baby
Three
Herman and
Stooges.
Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Joe sent me a picture of a storybook, and I was like, "Oh, it's based on a book." And then I zoomed in. Wait a minute, written by John
Yeah.
Hughes.
I had the book as a kid, and I was always confused as to why it wasn't like exactly as it like. It's pretty much the same. Some of the images, but like there's so much stuff left out, like that horrifying pig that one point he's looking at, and there's just so much stuff that's left out, and I was always confused, like, because Baby Bink looks like Baby Boo in the book.
Yeah.
It's like it was never clear to me, like, wait, are these parents wealthy enough that they commissioned a book to be made about their kid? Like, it's such a weird thing, because even on like the kidnapper's van, the photographer van, like that baby looks like Baby Bink. It's just like
Yes.
he's like represented in throughout the movie, and it's a very strange choice.
So what you had was like the novelization of the movie.
Yeah,
Oh,
By-
wow. The
for
novelization,
kids.
that'd be great.
By-
It's like 200 pages. You're like, and then the baby.
that's all the extra stuff. Yeah,
Alan
I'll be
Dean
doing
Foster.
I'll be doing a video on the lost version of Baby's Day Out. So just
Nice.
kidding,
Oh
I won't
my
be doing
God.
that.
Oh,
I look forward to, I don't know, I'm sure you saw the deleted scenes. That was one of the hit tweets I had, tweeting like a deleted scene from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles when they did that Blu-ray release.
I'm sure deleted scenes exist from this movie, because what John Hughes would do was he would, if you were like cut out of a movie,
Yeah,
he would
he'd give you a
he would
copy
give
of
you he would give you like the work print VHS footage for you to use it like a demo reel or just to have. And so the only reason some of those scenes have survived in these movies is because like the actors found them in their attic years later and were like, oh right, there's this.
All right,
Oh,
get
that's
that footage, fan cut of Baby's Day Out, where all the parent stuff jettisoned. And
Yeah.
we just want Joe Montana, Joey Pants, and Brian Haley.
And the other guy.
The
yeah.
other guy, Brian Haley.
And
According
the
to Brian
giant
Haley-
prosthetic baby mouth. We need
Brian
more of
Haley
that.
said they were Joe Montana referred to them as the Three Strunzes, which is Italian for Stooges, basically. So
Okay.
apparently they were having a good time filming it, and they were improvising. And I don't know about you, but I think some of the best scenes in the movie are the three of them. And when they're not on screen,
Oh, for sure,
it drags.
I totally agree. They do have a good. They got good chemistry.
They get the assignment.
I love Joe Montana and I really love Joey Pants.
Yeah.
So they're good he's good in everything. Joe Montana, previously seen on Thinner.
Yeah.
Episode, a great performance. So I guess let's get into the plot. So it starts off with
Quote,
like
unquote.
boring stuff of the parents and the
Well,
family.
it starts off with like it's a 90s movie, so you need that like tinkly soundtrack over, in this case, pictures
my
of like a
God.
storybook. Like
this soundtrack. By,
now, I checked who it
we
was.
didn't like it.
it's Bruce Broughton.
Bruce Broughton. Now he's done a lot of stuff, but he's not
Yeah.
like a John Williams. Even though he did work on like Amazing Stories, he did 4 episodes of that.
Okay.
And he did like Tiny Toon Adventure, so he was in that like Steven Spielberg.
It has
sphere.
that vibe. It's like
Yeah.
we can't get John Williams. You know, who do we get? This score is so overwrought, and it just does not stop.
It never
stops.
Mostly.
And it got to the point where it's like the end credits were playing, and we're just like, shut it off. I can't listen to this
It's
music.
too whimsical.
It's
I noticed it's playing when all the old men are singing that song at the
Yes.
end. Like even that
Yes.
it's playing under, and it's like really the people are singing. They don't need this whimsical
I
music.
couldn't believe it. It's like he wasn't even watching the screen when he's conducting like the orchestra or something, and he's just like, keep going.
But it's
That
not even like
absolutely
building on what
feels-
they're singing.
Like test screening stuff, though. That they're like,
Yeah.
all right, not enough laughs. Let's pump up the music here. That's what we need. More music.
Or they
What
think
do you
that the kids are getting bored. So
Yeah, John Hughes and Patrick Reed Johnson fought about. More gorilla! We need more gorilla! John Hughes was screaming.
I agree. I feel like we could have, although that scene is also too long, but like, I don't know, maybe the gorilla can escape and run around with the baby or something.
This
like,
gorilla costume cost us $25 million. So,
It's half the
probably
budget.
not.
I believe it's a Rick Baker design, by the way.
yep, that's what it looks like.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about that scene when we get to it, but I was impressed with that ape suit.
Not as impressive as the animatronic baby, the mechanical baby arm.
Well, there were the fake babies. So we have a bit of a connection because our friends in Milwaukee from RLM collect baby binks. So we have seen.
Yeah.
We
Oh, that's
have
right.
seen
They
them
have a
in
couple of them,
person.
right?
They
Yeah.
have two, at
I
least
think they
two.
have at least two, maybe more. But so we have seen them in person,
And they are
and
horrifying.
they're creepy. Yeah. Very.
Well, they're
creepy.
all like rotten now and like
They're
half the
partial-
teeth are showing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they just have this like kind of like
There's the one with like
dead-eyed
the rod,
stare.
like the crawling one has like a rod up its back. And,
yeah, like for puppeteering. They're very unsettling.
Also, Vern Troyer apparently is one
Yeah.
of the baby
No.
stunt doubles.
Oh,
yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, I didn't know.
Very
that.
early film role for Vern Troyer.
Wow.
I didn't really pick out any like clear this is a stunt baby. I mean, obviously the puppets and stuff like that, but
The
I'm just
puppets
thankful
sometimes
this-
they're very funny. Yeah.
yeah, I'm just thankful he doesn't like walk. I'm glad he's crawling because I think it'd be so much more unnerving if like this.
It's like the classic cut to Chucky suddenly running through frame.
Exactly,
You're like,
yeah.
no.
exactly. Oh, just like flashbacks.
Because he's kind of dressed like Chucky. He's got
Yeah,
the,
he
Yeah,
is.
he
the
is.
blue overalls and
What was it? The nice guy doll or whatever?
Yeah, one could say all babies kind of look like Chucky.
You could
Wait,
say that.
So before I forget, though, one of the best baby gags is not in the movie; it's in the trailer, where a woman who, when the baby's in her bag, she's walking down the street, and like they're like, "Oh, we need your bag," and she starts hitting them. She drops her bag, and you can see in the trailer the
Yeah.
fake baby's head slams against the cement.
This is what I
It's
was
not-
trying to tell you about last night,
Yeah.
Colin. or
Yeah,
the
it's
other
not in the
night.
movie though; they cut away.
Yeah,
Oh.
they kind of frame it out, but I was like, I remember seeing that baby's head like hit the concrete.
Yeah, they showed the aftermath when it's kind of like spilled out onto the sidewalk.
Did you watch this on Disney Plus? Anyone?
We
Yes.
did, yes.
Okay. It might be just cut out of that because I remember. I could be wrong. But
No,
I know,
I've watched the DVD version. It's
Okay.
not in that version either.
because
yeah.
I've seen the trailer because I very distinctly also remember seeing that.
Yeah.
What was the song in the trailer? It's probably like "What I Like About You" or something
Oh
like
my
that.
God.
If the baby's running around.
Or something with the title "Baby" in it.
Yeah.
Just like
Oh,
this
man.
movie would have benefited from a soundtrack like that. Just something to
Yes.
like make it a little bit more energetic.
Like a John Landis style. Man, he's coming up a lot on this episode. Like all
He was
the
a
moon songs.
contemporary. Yeah, we need
Contemporary of Patrick Reed Johnson.
yes, we need a pop soundtrack in this. Like
All the hits.
Was Patrick Reed Johnson also a murderer?
The other thing about this, they're in a club of murderers. Was I couldn't tell. It tried to have a timeless quality to it because
Yeah, it
at
has
first
this-
I was like, does this take place like in like the 40s?
Yeah, it has like
No,
a
it doesn't.
retro feel, but all the technology is modern.
Yeah, it's modern day. So what was this movie? 94.
Yeah, 94.
So I think it's trying to get away from like dating itself with that kind of stuff because it's like the book almost seems like it was old. Like they go to like an old timey like department store and the cabs are old and like everything just felt like it was supposed to be from a different time and not the early 90s.
Yeah, but then they're standing in front of a video store and it has like a camcorder.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
I also swore this movie took place in New York. I was very surprised
yeah,
to
me
realize
too.
it's Chicago. I was like, because I was going to say like, oh, this is a rare John Hughes movie that's not set in Chicago, but. And then I'm watching it and I see like the L tracks and everything and I'm like, wait a minute, is this? And then,
Yeah.
I always thought that was Central Park, the scene with the zoo and all that stuff. But yeah, it's Chicago.
That's what we thought until like the very end.
Yeah.
I bet you maybe in one version it was New York and John Hughes was like, no, Has to be Chicago.
That's what they were fighting over.
Have you ever heard about John Hughes was like trying to do this movie called The Bee, which was going to be about like an architect that's like battling a bee as he tries to like build a house. And
No.
apparently he was like, one day Patrick Reed Johnson showed up to shoot and the entire cinematographer crew was missing. And he was like, where are they? And they're like, oh, well, John took them up to his farm to do some camera tests for The Bee. And like, it was one of those like notorious ideas
right.
about like,
Yes.
and I think he wrote, Rowan Atkinson was going to play the star, and like
I think it was Jackie Chan at some point.
Jackie Chan.
Yes,
He
because
was
I remember
really throwing everything out there for it.
I think I remember the script because I think we were bidding on it at one point at the visual effects company I worked at. And it was when it was right when I think it was after Rumble in the Bronx. So like Jackie Chan was sort of a name in North America, and they were pitching it. But there's a TV show called Man vs. Bee.
Yeah,
on
I'm
Netflix.
pretty certain that like because he did meet with Rowan Atkinson actually
Yeah, because
during
that was
the
a Rowan Atkinson one, right?
Yeah.
During the production of Baby's Day Out, that's partly where he went. He disappeared over to England to meet with like Hugh Laurie and Rowan Atkinson. And I guess that idea, resonated with Rowan Atkinson because all these years later, he essentially, John Hughes isn't credited on it or anything, but yeah, I think it's Man versus Bee on Netflix.
Like over
something like
20
that.
years later.
But it's like it's like a TV series. or
It's
something.
9 episodes.
I
Yeah,
think that
but
the episodes are short
they're
too.
very
right?
short.
they're like 10-minute episodes. Yeah.
It looks like it's an hour and 52 minutes total.
Did you review that one, Joe, or was that a different?
I did,
YouTube
yeah. I did a
channel?
little video on it because I was like,
Right.
I felt compelled to because I'm also fascinated by The Bee, that whole script. It just seemed like, and Brian Haley told me that John Hughes hired him to be in that. He was going to be like a construction guy on it. So,
That's so funny. Wow. I would
Have you seen
completely
Ega, Joe?
forgotten about that.
have you seen what?
Ega?
No.
It's an Indian film
No.
about a guy who dies and is reincarnated as a fly who then has to take revenge on the person who
sounds
killed
amazing.
him. Highly recommended.
I do know that this movie was inexplicably popular in India enough where
Yes.
they remade it twice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I was
we
just
were
reading about that last night.
They loved it.
I think like the last remake was like a few years ago.
That's crazy.
There's one in 1999 and it's just called James Bond. So I don't know
Yes.
how that.
It has an amazing title. You get a lot of remakes in India because they often do it for their different languages because they have their own regional cinemas. So like Hindi, Telugu, Tamil. There's even more than that. So it's like you can get remake after remake after remake. Some of them not licensed, if you will.
Are you saying that wasn't an official James Bond movie?
Yeah, the child is named James Bond, which makes it completely legal. And I'm sure that version is probably 3 hours long, like all the movies that they do.
Oh, yeah.
There's a movie where it's like the Ted Bear, and it's like a weird action film that came out a few years ago.
Really?
The bear
yep.
from Ted.
Yes.
God.
Actually, you know what? It's not that long. It's 2 hours and 2 minutes, and it's actually I can't say it, Malayalam movie. That's language and regional cinema it's from. Anyway, we got to get in the plot of this, right, April? Sorry, I diverted us.
Well,
What
we
plot?
can be a
There's
little
not a lot of
loose.
plot to talk
I don't
about.
want to just talk about so the baby crawls here and does this.
Yeah.
I mean, the basics is rich family. By the way, the dad played by the bad guy in The Wedding Singer. And he was also in Corky Romano.
And then Lara Flynn Boyle is the wife.
My Corky Romano screen that's haunted me my entire life, where the choices when my
I still
entire
haven't
school
seen
went
it.
to the Cineplex was Corky Romano or Iron Monkey. And I went,
I bet you
well, I've
will.
seen Iron
Yeah.
Monkey on VCD. I don't need to see it in theaters. Let me go see Corky Romano on shimmering 35 millimeter. Bad.
It's bad, right? Well, I'm curious enough. I don't want to turn this into a Corky Romano podcast, but I've always wanted to watch that.
You can. You
Yeah,
can
I
just,
can.
It's 90 minutes of your life. You won't get back,
yeah,
but it's out there.
So I believe the dad in this, who by the way is like barely in this movie, is in Corky Romano.
Oh
Sorry,
my
I'm looking
God.
at the poster of Corky Romano, which is just Chris Kattan's face,
Yeah.
and it says, "Who is Corky Romano?" That's
Exactly.
it. That's how they were selling. People are like, they love Chris Kattan. They want more of it. They want to know who he is. Who's
that
Gabbo? Gabbo.
What is the Matrix? It worked for them. Let's try it with Corky
exactly.
Romano.
Yeah.
So this so when I saw John Neville's name in the credits, he plays the butler in this
also
movie.
barely in this.
Barry
I know.
Munchausen himself. I don't even think he has a line in this movie, does he?
I think he comes to answers the door.
Yeah, when Joe Montana shows up
and says
with
like this way or something like that.
I love when Lara Flynn Boyle demands he go to the attic to get her winter wardrobe out for a photo shoot.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of like, but madam, like that might be his only line in the movie. Or just, are we supposed to like these parents? Because
No, they
I don't
suck.
know.
yeah, they're really unlikable.
Yeah, they're horribly rich, and she's like, freaking out about this photo shoot like it's the biggest deal ever. And she's like,
Yeah, she wants her baby's photo in the paper.
Yeah, I
and
want you
they're
to redefine baby photography and art and this and that. And it's just like, you deserve your child to get kidnapped.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So what? She's hired another photography company because Old Willie is the guy who always photographs. I don't know, whatever the family
babies.
name
The Depression era photographer of.
is. Yeah, exactly.
Here's a trick. They just take a random photo of a baby. They all look the same, and they put it in the paper, and they're like, here's their baby.
There you go.
Yeah.
All the babies look the same in this movie. There are like
Well, there's only two.
that-
They're
I thought there were
twins.
8 of them. They were all brothers and sisters, and they used them. It was a Milo and Otis style situation. So
three were robots.
I should say I don't like children generally, but this
coming out and say,
yeah.
first you're anti-dog, now you're anti-child.
I'm not anti-dog, but anyway,
You,
but I
you
just gonna
hate
say,
how they are controlled by their hunger. I think was your own words.
yeah, I think my
They're
cats. I think
pathetic.
my cats would
April.
have something to say about that because they are controlled by their hunger pretty bad.
Okay.
But anyway, I was gonna say don't like kids, but this baby is really cute,
Yeah,
and
he's a
he
cute-
has such natural charisma. He is just mugging for the camera and like smiling, and I'm like, okay, I can see why he was hired.
There's a scene
And-
where his little bottom is being clean, and they even cut to a reaction shot of him being like, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know why I thought this, but what is that baby doing now? Like, who is he now?
He's dead.
He's an
Drugs and
adult.
alcohol.
I was expecting that was the guy who had maybe contacted Joe. I was waiting for that
I
to be
was the
reveal.
baby.
Oh, that would have been amazing if that really
and I have
is.
perfect memory. Like,
At least that would have excused me from not recognizing the name. I was just so embarrassed
Yeah.
of like, oh my gosh, this is. This
oh,
is an
did he
actor.
sign it? And you were like, who are you?
Well,
And
the
he's
email
like,
had his, his name like on Brian Haley. Like
Joe
so I was just
Montana.
like-
Who the hell is that?
I was just never expecting someone from this movie would reach out to me and want to talk about it. But
And someone with a major role in the
Wow,
movie
that's
too.
Yeah.
crazy.
Brian
Yeah.
Haley's photo on IMDb looks like it was taken in like 1957.
I know.
It's
Yes.
like a black and white
Yeah,
photo.
I thought it was like
Wow.
a yearbook photo or something.
He's like classing it up a little bit.
he's
Yeah.
really good in Gran Torino.
Torino.
Like, as Clint Eastwood's character's son.
So this is funny. April told me that last night, or when we were watching
I
this.
was like, he was in Gran Torino.
Gran Torino, and I was like, what is like the
David
guy from
Harbour?
David Harbour's like son or something, like dad? I confused it with
what?
Gran Turismo,
Oh,
the Neil
Gran
Blomkamp movie.
Turismo.
Oh well.
Wow, I'm looking at his credits, and after Baby's Day Out, he was in That Darn Cat, a very Baby's Day Out style movie.
Yeah.
Christina Ricci. The
I
cover is like a
remember.
cat wearing sunglasses.
he plays like I think like some kind of FBI agent in that, and his partner is Biff from Back to the Future. It's Tom Wilson. And the two of
Whoa.
them, I think they're brothers in it or something. Great like buddy casting there.
Do they have like flat top haircuts? Like,
Oh,
I think
probably
they both,
guaranteed.
they're like typical like black suit, sunglasses type characters. In
Yeah.
that, from what I remember.
Holy cow, this guy was also in the infamous pilot that never got picked up,
Yep.
Pachinski.
Pachinski. Yeah, I noted that too. So also,
I'm a dog.
He's had a ton of credits. He's maybe not like as big of a name as a Joey Pants or a Joe Mantegna, but he has had a long career.
yeah.
I mean, the movie introduces Joe Mantegna in this movie as if the audience is going to be like, yeah, Joe Mantegna.
The audience of kids.
Well, that was the thing. Apparently, like they couldn't get any like A-listers for this movie because no one wanted to like share second billing to a baby.
Whoa.
Like, who would have been cast in 1994 as like the criminals that would give you the Three Stooges style? Jim Carrey, we got him in here.
Yeah.
He's gonna
Danny
do his thing.
DeVito.
Yeah, Danny DeVito. That would be another good
That would have been
one.
a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be kind of the mastermind, I feel. Danny DeVito.
What other Batman villain could be?
DeVito is their leader. Christopher Walken, let's toss him in there as well.
Yeah, sure. Why
Totally.
not?
But yeah, it's also like, Joe Pantoliano. Now he's kind of like super well known as a character actor. I want to say maybe
Is he still
the
acting
Matrix.
these days? What is he?
Oh, I haven't
Joey
seen him in
Pants?
anything in a while.
I have a feeling like he's got a. I don't know. This is just me imagining it. Like he's got his own club or something like that. Like his own bar. It's called like.
I feel like Joe Mantegna has his own club.
I'm sure they
and
all
it's like
do.
a comedy club in Vegas.
Yeah, but it's just.
Is-
it's like
Isn't Joey Pants in
Casablanca.
Congo?
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Yes, not.
I remember you guys
for
talking
very
about him then,
long.
yeah.
Yeah, for like
Yeah.
one scene or two scenes.
Yeah.
Did I say this before when we talked about him? That like there's a movie that Jenna Fisher directed called Lolly Love. many years ago, 2004. It stars her and James Gunn. And in the commentary track, they talk about who the meanest person they ever met in Hollywood was. And she goes on a long rant about Joey Pants. and about him being a huge asshole. Yeah.
Oh my God. My whole idea of him has completely gone up in smoke.
He's kind of like, he always plays like that wise ass. So it's probably like, that's what he's like in real life.
At a bar, he's like, I'm king of the world.
Yeah.
I'm Joey Pants.
I don't know if I said this
Give
on
me
the
another
Congo.
Manhattan toots.
I don't know if I said this on the Congo episode, but best Joey Pants performance is in Bound. That he is
he
so
rules that
great
movie.
in that.
good in
That's
that, and he
right, yeah.
actually has some hair.
Yeah, he's always got he's always such a
Also
sleaze
in
bag.
The Goonies, one of the Fratelli
Oh
brothers.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Maybe that's why I got cast. He's like, I'm
Yeah.
doing the Three Stooges shtick again. All right, whatever you guys
Jesus
want.
Christ.
Yeah, he's in The Sopranos. That's his biggest, like, other than The Matrix, because he was on that for more than 10 years.
Wow, I still gotta watch this.
Yeah, but these
Yeah,
three
he's-
guys like are the Three Stooges, like the
Yeah.
character
Yeah.
types, the boss guy, and then like the second banana, and then like kind of the hulking dumb one. I mean, it's really
Yeah.
they with Home Alone, like John Hughes was doing kind of like an homage to the old comedy teams,
Yeah.
whereas this one it's just kind of like they're just doing a Three Stooges kind of shtick the whole movie. I think it works. I think it's pretty enjoyable, but it does go like this scene where they have to come kidnap the baby. It's like, wouldn't you guys maybe be a little bit like less, you know, you're really
Obvious?
putting
Like
yeah, you're really putting
obvious,
big
yeah.
bold personalities. I mean, everything they're dressed, the way that baby van they drive, it's like, shouldn't you be like some conspicuous about this?
Yeah, it's like they're wearing these like big like cashmere sweaters or whatever the hell
Yeah.
they are.
Costumes.
Like gaudy, and then like Joe Mantegna has like this French beret and mustache, but is like
But he has,
speaking
like,
with
a-
some like Eastern European accent
Yeah.
or something.
But it's shot in a way and presented as if, like, you love these guys. Wouldn't it be funny if they did funny voices as opposed to, like, well, I don't know who these characters are or these actors or what their persona is?
it's just like crickets. All the
I
children
will
in the
say that,
theater.
like, the thing missing from the Three Stooges shtick is that they are so angry and bitter the entire time, and they like hate each other.
Well, I don't
Yeah.
really know. Like, did I miss something, or is their plan ever laid out? Like, they leave that kidnapper's note, but like at the end of the movie, I think Joe Mantegna says like, oh, that maybe they dropped the money off. Like, did they even leave a location or anything? Like,
feel they
they
did.
did, yeah.
A
The,
dumpster?
I think the dad was
Or a
like reading
garbage
it, or
can?
yeah, like leave the money by like the alleyway, blah blah blah.
I think
Don't
that
call
may
the
have
police.
been in the note, but yeah, I was like, was I just not paying attention at the beginning of this movie? But it is revealed at one point, I think, that Joe Mantegna owes money to the Milwaukee mob.
Or you see, it makes some
He
comment
said
or
Milwaukee
something.
mob,
That's
so
so
if
funny.
there is a Milwaukee mob,
Like
they're after Joe.
Yeah, he's like,
Mantegna.
I'd rather face the Milwaukee mob
Yeah.
than do that.
and they want $5 million, which is only 10% of this movie's budget, which is
That's insane.
interesting.
I mean, it certainly doesn't look cheap. That's for sure.
The movie?
Yeah, it's very slick looking.
But like, I looked up just frame of reference. Like, Jurassic Park cost $63 million.
Yeah,
So like,
that's Spielberg though. He never overspends on these things. But I mean, this was so. Yeah, I think 91 was Terminator 2. That was like 110 million.
Okay.
So, but still, that's a lot of money. 50
yeah,
million for
for
this.
sure. Because Home Alone was 18 million. So it's like,
Okay.
you would think there'd be like a middle ground there for them to.
I
come
think
at,
that
but-
probably where it got to them is like there's gigantic sets in this movie.
Yeah, that
especially
construction.
the climactic
that construction
set.
set is like, and just the
Oh, yeah.
effects on that.
Well, apparently,
sequence
Baby
alone.
Bink's bedroom costs $200,000, and it's used in 2 scenes.
That is bananas.
It is obscenely huge. But also, let's just talk about my favorite thing. Because there's a gag at the end which was funny, but I'm not going to pick that as my favorite thing. I'm going to say Cynthia Nixon's British accent.
Why?
Because it's terrible and it's funny. I forgot she used to be blonde. And yeah, she plays this British nanny. And it's just, this accent is just from outer space. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so she's always reading the Baby's Day Out book to Baby Binks, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, and as she's doing this, the parents are at breakfast having like fancy cut grape or like cantaloupe. Did you notice that? It's like
No, I didn't.
It's just like really, ridge cut. And they're just sitting there reading the paper as this nanny is just completely taking care of their child.
Yeah, like how can you? Like, I hate these parents.
Yeah, and
I
like
think the thing is that you're supposed to hate them at the beginning, but then through the other scenes, you feel sympathetic for them, and it's like, no, Show us the
don't.
baby.
That's why they keep cutting back.
Every
to
time they
make
cut
us feel
back,
bad.
it was just like, why are we getting this? Like, I don't know.
Like she
like
goes
sob story. At one point, they
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
like a woman who has like 10 babies.
Yeah.
Oh,
That is,
And we're supposed to feel bad for Lara Flynn Boyle because one of her 10 babies looks like baby Pink.
oh my god, yeah.
Well, I think another big issue with this movie is it takes way too long for the baby to get out
Oh, yes.
and have a day. It takes like 22 minutes for him to escape
Yeah.
Yeah.
and start moving around. But that does lead to, so the baby, the kidnappers grab him. They go to their hideout, which is obviously a big set they built just for this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
the
that's the
baby
thing. They're
ends
supposed to be broke, and their apartment is huge.
I thought they
It's
were
like
just
it's like a
squatting
penthouse
in there.
apartment.
They live. It's like in a sign.
that is like their home. It's like a clock face or something like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, which and we'll get to it when we get to the climax. But the
yeah.
baby, we get here a big giant close up of it drooling, and you know that thing was like 30 feet wide or something, right? Like a gizmo head of just the big baby drool to be able to get a shot of it.
Well, yeah, they take it back to their apartment and then they're like changing it. Like Mantegna's like, get this baby out of that fruit suit, and then they're changing clothes, and I guess like
Where did they get that change of clothes?
I don't know, but
Maybe
it's-
they had a Chucky doll.
It's possible.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but like Joey Pants is like is changing it, and this animatronic baby hand is coming up into frame. It's so funny. It's like the end of Carrie or something. but
It's creepy.
It's so mechanical.
Or no, you said it was like the Evil Dead.
yeah.
hand.
It's so bizarre. Oh my!
Do you catch
God.
that bowl of Fruit Loops that Brian Haley pours himself?
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
like towering over the bowl.
I mean, I was just thinking, Fruit Loops. I would have tons of those bowls when I was a kid. Were you guys a 1-bowl or 2-bowl cereal?
Oh, usually two.
The only one.
I was the one, but it was pretty stacked.
I
It
used
was
to
stacked?
put a whole
Yeah.
bunch of sugar, either brown
You
sugar
would?
or white
Yeah.
sugar on top of it,
Wow,
and then it would all
I would never
sink,
do that.
It all sink to the bottom, and then I would drink the sugary milk.
I would always find the milk would be so sugary already after you go through like Fruit Loops or stuff like that. It's funny, my mom would never buy me Count Chocula, but she would get me Eggos, which is like probably 10 times worse.
Oh yeah, I love Eggos. Do they have Eggos in the States, Joe?
They do, yeah.
Okay, I didn't
Lego
know if
my
that was
Eggo.
a regional thing. Canadian only.
I still love
So-
blueberry echoes.
Me too.
As we would eat our beaver tails every morning, chowing down on our syrup. So the baby escapes, and then we get some good rooftop action.
I will say that scene where Brian Haley's biting his fingernails and the baby's drool hits Joe Montana in the neck. I thought that was pretty funny. Just his reaction to that. And the slap and kicking sound effects in this movie are like dialed up to full Looney Tunes.
Love it.
Yeah. There's also a Howie scream at some point, and I can't remember when
Don't
it
like it.
was. You don't like it? Any Howie scream now is good.
And
good by
so
me.
it just takes me out of it.
Yeah,
because
it's
it's like it's
I like it.
been used so much.
Well,
Yeah, they
not
have
as
to-
much as the Wilhelm.
Yeah, the Wilhelm they should ban
they have to
from all
ban that.
movies.
Yeah.
Even old movies.
As a director, you're not allowed to make a movie for 5 years if you put a Willem scream in your
You
movie.
go right to director jail.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you.
That's where Peter Jackson
I
is.
know. I was just saying. I'm looking at you, Peter Jackson. He even put it in the
Wait, did you
the
guys
Get
see
Back,
that music video of the like CGI John Lennon jamming out with the old Beatles?
That is-
Yeah, have you guys seen that?
absolutely hideous.
That video is a
It
crime
looks like a
against
Tim and
nature.
Eric bit.
It is
the
so
one where
bad.
like with the Tim and Eric Oscar special where they bring back Tim's dead son and age him up, Tom Cruise Jr. And he's like, "Don't vaccinate your children," and he's like a CGI cutout, and his clothes keep disappearing.
What was it called? Now and Then.
Now and Then.
It's on Disney Plus. The making of and the video. The making
there's a
of is
making
yeah,
of.
the making of is actually kind of interesting because
There's-
it's more just about the audio and the
Yeah, there's like a
there was
12-minute documentary.
It's a
I
pro-
think
process
Peter
involved.
Jackson needs like an intervention.
What a
Like
world we
someone
live
needs
in
to-
that Baby's Day Out and a Beatles music video can exist on the same streaming service.
Yeah, it's
know.
weird. We should see. Yeah, Disney Plus in Canada is quite a ride.
It's kind of wild.
They have like
yeah.
Freddie.
Really?
'Cause we
Freddie
have
got
Hulu.
fingered,
It's folded in with Hulu.
Seriously?
So we get all
Yeah.
of the things.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
and 20th Century Fox. So you get like Predator and all this. stuff.
Always Sunny is all on there except for the episodes that got pulled.
I
but-
rarely use it, and I logged in today to watch Baby's Day Out, and there was a banner for the Santa Claus's TV show,
So this is season 2,
which
of
I didn't
the
even.
Santa
Yeah, I couldn't
Clauses.
believe that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this
can't
like
believe it
Tim
got-
Allen in it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Tim Allen.
and Tim Allen was
looking
like-
the robot version of Santa Claus. That's like in the second or third one.
But
Tim
next to
Allen
him was
like-
that comedian, the fluffy guy. Like he's dressed as Santa. I guess he's
The
one of
fluffy guy.
You know that Gabriel? What is that guy's name? Who does like
Gabriel
the?
Iglesias.
It's something like that. But
I'm looking up like fluffy guy.
fluffy comedian.
Is that like a bit he does?
Yeah, Gabriel Iglesias. That's what April said.
Okay,
yeah.
I guess he's like the new Santa Claus with Tim Allen in it. I didn't watch it, but on the banner
God.
for the show, yeah, that's what it was.
I think I just heard that it had some conservative values because Tim Allen was like, if it's my show, it has to be more like Last Man Standing, I guess.
I mean, Last Man Standing has like 1,000 episodes, just like
Yeah.
living on the internet, playing in like pizza shops when you walk in.
That's
You look up and
crazy.
you're like, "What's that?"
It's like
Speaking
the
of
world according to
conservative-
Jim or something.
Conservative values. Fred Thompson plays one of the cops in this movie who is a former U.S. presidential candidate, Republican for 2008. So like the bald cop guy. That's kind
so
of like
he's standing beside the guy from Scrubs, two
that-
superstars.
no, I think you mean the detective guy.
the
kinda comes-
detective. Yeah.
yeah,
detective.
because I was like, who is that guy? He looked familiar.
Yeah,
to
he
me.
looks very familiar.
He's character actor Fred Thompson, who later in life became like a senator from Tennessee and ran for president in 2008 in the U.S.
oh, wow.
And he was in Baby's Day Out, so that's a fun.
Well, there you go. That's what sunk him.
Yeah.
they would play that
They
at
found
his.
out, yeah,
It was like those negative campaign ads. They just showed clips from Baby's Day Out.
Yeah, would you believe a man who lost a baby? So there's some funny comedy stuff where they're on the roof and Joe Montana falls off.
Yeah.
Even though, like, watching this sequence, again, I know you guys are complaining some of the comedy sequences are too long, but that's what I'm here for. I'm here to laugh. And, like, watching this scene, it feels like there's something missing. Like, how he falls, he catches something, but it just ends up being like a antenna that just hits him in a weird shot that's like really high that looks like they dropped a real antenna on Joe Montana
Yeah,
where he's like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, some of the gags are good, as
Yeah.
you said, but it's almost like this is kind of like slapstick light a little bit.
yeah.
And I mean, I'm talking to Justin and Joe are probably much more versed in the world of slapstick, especially like the older stuff and like Three Stooges. This is like
Not a fan.
This is like trying to like I guess like a gateway into that type of humor for
Yeah.
kids, I suppose. But it's no Looney Tunes, you know what I mean?
No.
Well, it's weird. So many times, like, one of the guys in this movie will get hit and just kind of freeze for like 2 minutes. It's like
Yeah.
their face gets like kind of locked, and they nothing, like their face is dead. They don't say anything. It's a weird, like it continually happens. It happens
Yeah.
when he falls off the roof, and then later on at the construction site, there's a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
It has, like, speaking of free, just like weird pacing issues, is that, and that's why Looney Tunes is successful as well. I mean, imaginative gags, et cetera, but also you need that kind of manic energy to go through it. And this movie doesn't really have that, even though the soundtrack is really trying to like make you
convince
think
you.
that it's moving
Yeah,
faster.
exactly.
Yeah.
But it's not. So we get like a car chase that's not particularly funny around here when
Yeah,
the baby.
Baby ends up on a bus.
The
I
bus,
guess.
yeah, but and then I mean again, it kind of just goes from scene to scene. So like he's in a not a department store, and
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of cool that he's in like a revolving door. Those things are death traps. That baby easily could have died, but that's this whole movie, right?
Wait, have you almost
no.
been killed by a revolving door?
No, but I don't like going through them. They freak me out.
Are you like when you do it?
No, I do. I always want to go to the other door. It's like
why do you think they're death traps? What did you?
Well, I don't
like,
know.
if
I've
Jackie
seen it
Chan
in
starts
movies
fighting in them or
I've seen
something
it in
like
movies and TV shows where you could die in
You've
one
been
of those.
watching too many Saw movies.
It's like
I
a
have
Final
never
Destination
heard anyone
thing.
say in a revolving door.
Yeah.
Oh, you know
Which
what?
one is that?
Wait, there was that scene in The Godfather. Remember, they have the massacre and they trap the guy
Oh,
in
right.
the
You get
revolving
stuck.
door, and then they gun him down. They shoot him through the glass. That's what
right.
April's imagining when she's
Or she's
going
like
through
picturing the opening to the director's cut of Zack Snyder's Watchmen. He's like, you'll get your cape stuck in the door and then you'll get killed.
That wasn't Zack Snyder, was it? Or
Yeah, it
was
was.
that okay?
Yeah, it was.
Watchmen.
Only the director's cut though, I think, has that credit sequence that people are like, this is the best part of the movie. It's like, all right, buckle up. There's 3 hours left.
Speaking of 3 hours left, this this movie.
This movie.
Good Lord. We get the baby.
Well,
the baby's in a bag. Gets stuck.
Yeah,
in
the whole comedy rests on the fact that no adult can see the baby moving around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like even when
an
he
invisible
goes in that
baby.
woman's apartment and like a package gets delivered and like does no one look at the floor? Like it's just even that scene
No.
where he like knocks the microphone out of that woman's hand, the camera, the newsman like pans directly to the baby.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's
doesn't
It's like
say
there's
anything.
no one saw this baby.
Well, like later, the construction workers like, did I just see a baby? Oh, time to go home. Like I guess I'm just hallucinating babies. And hadn't he
With the
heard about the
movie-
famous missing baby?
Would the movie be funnier if the baby was more malicious in hurting the people?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or do you have to do like Mr. Magoo style, like kind of what the movie is? He just
Yeah.
doesn't really know what's going
it's
on.
doing a Magoo. I was thinking of Mr. Magoo.
I don't know. The fact that he does know how to turn on a lighter, that's kind of impressive.
Yes, that's my favorite sequence,
Yeah.
my favorite thing. And of course, we're speaking of the classic Mr. Magoo film starring Leslie Nielsen.
Yes.
of course. Yeah. Isn't he also like on a construction site, like in that?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the poster. Is him like walking, and it looks like he's gonna walk
Something
off.
like
Yeah, I think that was
Yeah.
kind of his thing. That's what he did.
Directed by the filmmaker of Super Cop,
Stanley Tong.
Stanley Togg. Not a
Wow.
good movie.
And
It's
Sean
no
Van
wrongfully accused.
There was a
No.
lot of overlap. Like we were just talking about like Jackie Chan almost doing a movie that Rowan Atkinson wanted to do. Like there's a lot of overlap between like kung fu cinema and slapstick comedy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Right.
And this movie, I feel like it would have benefited from having a director who might like be more an experienced action director because, yeah, like you guys
John
were saying,
McTiernan.
it's just like some of these scenes just go on for way too long. And follow the baby goes here, the people follow him. There's not much more to it.
Yeah, than that. I was just like struggling to write notes. I'm like, what the hell are we going to talk about?
Well,
Like,
we didn't mention that the baby is going places it saw in the book. It was
Okay.
read. That's very important.
In
And-
chronological order.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is
Order
like
they
the
appear in the
smartest.
book.
Okay, well, let's just get to the monkey scene.
He's a dumb baby.
Well, we get the baby in traffic. We miss like a Mike Starr shows up for like one.
Oh
minute.
yeah, Mike Starr. I
I
always
was like,
love him.
oh, he's gonna be in
How
this
do they
movie.
know
Oh,
I have
no.
gas?
Gas.
who just wants money.
Yeah, he like calls the cops, says he
He
saw
doesn't
the-
even have really like a bit
this
or
whole
like a
s-
big joke.
Yeah, this whole
No.
scene is just so bizarre. So it's like he calls the cops, saying that he saw the baby across the road in some apartment. So they like raid this apartment.
Yeah, but it almost seems like Mike Starr was just walking by set, and they were like, "Hey, you want to be in this?"
Yeah, but then we get this scene in this apartment where it's like this sort of very sad lady, who has
This
a,
is like pace ruining this scene.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
so.
This is like a
it's
scene
just
you cut
weird.
out instantly.
Yeah, like, why
get
is
it out of here.
Why is it in the movie? Like it's so.
Like I
bizarre.
thought maybe she was gonna help the lady, but she doesn't. She's just like, oh, I'm
She
sad.
should
All
have
right,
cut
I'm
him
gone.
cut her a check.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like
Yeah,
That's
at one
how you
point
stay
that-
rich, April.
That really sappy music starts to play, and she says to the mom, "I believe in my heart that someone watches over the babies."
oh god, oh my
Just the
god.
and then she's
babies.
like, I'm pro-life.
And
I
yeah,
believe
it's like
in that. Yeah.
check
I think
under
what
the
she meant
floorboards
is
in the house.
she meant gorillas because in just the scene,
Yeah.
a gorilla cares for the baby.
And I know people are like, what, Justin? That's not your favorite scene? Yeah, the gorilla scene's all right.
It's pretty.
It could
funny.
be better.
It could
A
have
lot
been
of
better.
comedic potential that it doesn't deliver on. I
mean,
feel.
it's just gorilla hitting the guys.
and it's just it's set up for so long. Like
Yeah.
the
I mean, our favorite of the three guys, of course, just in case he listens to this episode, Brian Haley, has a very long sequence where his hand gets hurt,
Yeah.
and he's like, just agony,
Yeah.
and he's just screaming in Joey Pants' face.
And then we get
And
like
he goes,
reaction
"Oh."
shots from all the different types of monkeys in this,
Yeah.
this
Oh,
sanctuary.
yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
interesting.
I
You know
like
they
the
built.
reaction shot.
This is like a $5 million fake zoo they built just for this sequence.
yes, it's crazy. It's
Do
very
you think
elaborate.
this gorilla is better than the monkey in Congo? What's that monkey's name? Amy?
Amy?
Amy. Maybe. I mean, I posed a very similar question the other night. I said, "Is it better than the gorilla in Trading Places?"
Oh,
I think it is.
No,
but it's
I
close.
Think, I love the Trading Places gorilla, who should be arrested for what he does in that movie.
Commits sexual assault.
Yeah, Elliot Kalin has a presentation he did about how gorillas committing sexual assault is not funny.
Was that at a
He would
live
open
show?
his flop house. Yeah, in one of his live shows.
well, I guess he is deported, right? At the end of that,
who's
Well,
the
no, he
gorilla?
was
Oh, at the
he
end
wasn't
of-
deported. He was going home.
he was put in a crate.
I
Yeah.
think
Maybe
the
he's
thing
gonna
with
maybe
this
he's gonna
gorilla
meet, Amy.
Yeah.
is when I have my gorillas on screen, I like them to look a little fake.
Yeah.
So that gives me the advantage of the Trading Places gorilla.
Well, you have to look up.
Like,
have you ever seen the poster where the gorilla is sitting on the three of them with
Yes.
the baby on? That gorilla
Yes.
is not the gorilla in the movie.
it's not the gorilla in the movie. That's the gorilla I want in this movie.
That's what pops up on Disney Plus.
Yeah, and it
That's
also
so funny because that poster, like, was it an intern that would have to go get a gorilla
I
mask
don't
down
know.
at the store?
That baby's face, though, in the poster looks so photoshopped. It's
The head
it's
is too
insane.
big. The baby's too. It's
lighting is completely-
disproportionate.
And it makes it look like Joey Pants has really long hair for some reason. It's just like the way it's
It's
shadowed.
the collar of his shirt, I think.
I was very confused when the movie started.
You were like, "Hey,
yeah,
it
the
has
baby
hair."
is like half the size of the gorilla.
yeah.
It's bad.
Is this a honey I blew up the kid situation or what?
I was really impressed when they like got the footage of the baby just completely asleep, and the gorilla's like, did they drug the baby for that scene?
Yeah,
It's like,
chloroform.
is there any way a kid would not be terrified of that thing? It's just like all snug and asleep, and because it is like a really intricate gorilla suit. I would imagine there's someone in there, and then it's an animatronic face.
I wonder
Like
if they
head. Yeah.
Maybe they
There's 10 puppeteers off screen controlling this thing.
they could have had the head off, and like the mom is in it or something. and,
That's
like,
even scarier.
wait-
Your mom in a gorilla suit.
No, you just wait for the baby to fall asleep, then you put the mask back on. You see,
Yeah, she was sewed into it, April. Some say she's still wearing it to this day.
took us 6 hours to get out of there.
I've also never
Yeah.
been to a zoo where like you can clearly reach into the enclosure.
Yes,
that
exactly.
And there's nobody in.
No one's around.
this enclosure.
Yeah, not one
Where's
person.
zoo security? Zookeepers.
This feels like a scene that should take place during night, but I guess it's baby's day out. So
Yeah, and it would be too dark.
they get really close to like real monkeys in the scene too, which I don't like because their lips and crotches could be ripped off at any moment.
Also, there's a lot of POV shots in this movie. I'm just bringing this up randomly now. POV of the baby, but POV of like things that are inanimate objects, just so we can get big wide angle lens, fisheye viewing of people's faces. Who directed this? Danny DeVito?
Well, you get Joe Montana saying, "I'm a banana."
Yeah,
to, like, the gorilla.
I'm a banana. That's
Yeah.
a very, very strange line because
Okay,
you're
this
not a
is-
banana.
Yeah, this is the scene we get the Howie scream in this. I think.
Okay.
What did they trying to like get the baby with like a broom or something, and then
Yeah.
the gorilla like I don't know smashes.
There's like
someone's-
each of them tries their own way to get the baby out. So we have like 3 different set pieces with the gorilla where
Yeah.
he like Brian Haley gets his hand smashed, and he tries to get him with the mop handle, and then we get Joe Montana get completely just tossed across the room into that in the cage across the street, which is kind of cool. I love when you have that shot of like just the monkey's mouth open.
Yeah, the one that he lands.
It's screaming at Joe Montana
Yeah, just
and then,
screaming
like,
at his
pushes
face.
his hair
Yeah.
back.
He's like, rip some dicks. I mean, when you spent like $5 million building this set, I mean, you got to milk it. You can't just like cut away.
Yeah. But yeah, the issue is that every scene is too long. So like it's like 20-minute segments.
Yeah.
And then the next one is I think the
Well,
baby.
I mean, you could consider it as like, shorts, like a Three Stooges short would be
It's
like,
very, like,
usually one or two
episodic, you would
situations.
say.
Yeah.
So this movie was built for YouTube is what you're saying. It could have been
TikTok.
in clips.
It's
TikTok.
blowing
This could
up.
be a great TikTok movie. Yeah.
Yeah, just watch it in like little chunks, in all 40 parts. And then we immediately cut from that to like mommy sad scene back at the house, and then her and the nanny are consoling one another, and it's just like, why do we? And then we get the big Justin's favorite scene with the nuts.
I still
Joe
feel like
Montana's-
this scene could have been better because like once he starts to set his crotch on fire, it's just that. Like it doesn't
the whole
build
scene.
on that. Like, he punches him in the nut, and I love any kind of nut trauma getting kicked in the crotch. It's very funny. Also, how strong is this baby that this baby can like punch people and he kicks Joe Montana in the crotch the first time he meets him, but then like I don't know how delicate are guys like nuts. Like, could a baby like actually hurt you enough? I guess maybe.
Probably if that baby is Vern Troyer.
But when he kicks him in
Yeah.
the beginning of the movie, the sound effect sounds like someone chopping wood. It's like this really loud like smack where it's like I doubt this baby's foot would cause like this.
No. It's like a velocity of like 50 miles
Maybe
an
the
hour.
scene is funny because it's like one of the few scenes where the baby is outright malicious
Yeah,
to
so
the
it's like
guys.
doing
Like,
stuff.
Yeah, plus, I mean, it looks perverted, but I think that's the point. And
there's another scene too where the baby's crawling through that tunnel, and it's like they need the baby, but Joe Montana is going to stop to have like a monologue about
Yeah.
the tunnel system.
How tunnels work.
It's not a rabbit
Yeah.
hole. It's a tunnel. And tunnels have an exit. It's like, thank you. It's like, did he improvise these lines? Maybe.
It's already gone. But I do like how, I mean, as much as I said the scene goes on and on, like the cop scene, it is kind of funny the way the cops are just like dragging it out and then they're leaving.
And coming back.
And then they come
Great
back.
to see Neil Flynn, Scrubs' own Neil Flynn, as one of the cops.
I recognized him.
Oh.
Also, they keep like they're asking questions about the van and stuff.
Is that your van? Okay.
It's nice.
Another
to see
van
the
that's
other two
not
guys.
very inconspicuous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like some like 70s like fantasy
It's
van or something.
ridiculous
Isn't it?
looking. Yeah.
And then we basically go right into the big construction scene set piece.
not before another sad nanny and mom scene.
Get out
You
of
could
here.
just
I
say
don't
that's
want to talk
in
about
between every scene.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, a lot of good gags in the construction thing. I like it when the
Not
guys.
enough, I
I like
feel.
it when
Yeah,
the,
it goes
the two
on for
guys
a long
fall
time.
into the things.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there's a really
That looked
funny
cool.
shot of a Joey Pants dummy slamming into a
That
board.
is okay. That is my favorite thing. I laughed so
so
hard,
funny.
but they hang on it for so long after it happens.
I was like, he's dead.
They are not trying to hide the fact that it's a dummy, but they.
Well, that's what the joke is.
I know, but they don't. They don't cut away from it.
It's like it feels like it's like 20 seconds just looking at him thudding.
It's so funny.
That one is great.
This is like the big ILM scene. I mean, they
Well, there's a lot
did
of miniature stuff too.
Yeah, there is. You can tell like the construction site. They have like a big psych of the city behind them. But there is one scene where I think Baby Bink kind of climbs out onto a girder, and we get a big pan across
Yeah.
Chicago.
That's
You
the
can see all
poster I
cars.
remember seeing for this movie. I remember it about like the baby up on like one of those beams.
Right. Okay.
It's weird. There were so many like marketing things. I don't think they knew how to market it because some of them are like just the baby in a taxi cab, and then other ones are like
Yeah,
him up
that's
on the
right.
construction site. There's so much like, and then I think they just got that gorilla like after the fact. We're like, oh, we need something else. Can we get what happened? It got like it's being used on another movie. All right, let's send the intern out to the Halloween store and get one.
Everyone loves gorillas.
Rick Baker goes into his vault. Yeah, I got a couple of gorilla costumes.
Yeah, this will be like that Star Wars Cantina scene.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
the Baby's Day Out poster.
Reuse everything.
But yeah, this construction scene, 15 minutes long. I timed it out. So
It's crazy because you could have, I remember watching the Red Letter Media video for this like way back when, and you would think like the entire movie is just this construction site scene. Like it's so long.
Well, you can't just have a whole movie on a construction site. Well, maybe you can. I don't know. It'd probably be better.
Better than this.
I'll take that challenge, I guess.
they do all get covered in stuff. Like that's a big thing in this scene. They all get
Yeah.
drenched in
Yeah.
like goo.
Yeah, it's all this like I don't know what
Or
it looks
Joe
like.
Montana. It looks like, I guess it's supposed to be glue, but it looks like custard.
or something. Yeah, but it's just, and every time I see that in a movie, I feel so sorry for the actors. Like that must be the most uncomfortable day on
Well,
set.
it's like thinking of the gags in Home Alone where like, Daniel Stern stepping on the nail and stuff like that. Like it's all very quick cut. Like we get
Yeah.
the reaction, we get them in pain, and then we're on to the next scene. Whereas this, like they hold on them a little too long.
Yeah,
There's
and
that
it's like-
scene
Of
where
them
like,
being like, oh,
Yeah.
almost as if they're like, we need to pause for the laugh, and it's like, no, keep moving.
there's that scene where Brian
That's good.
Haley jumps off and lands on like the elevator, and like he's kind of like frozen for what feels like a minute and a half.
yeah, he says, "Oh, my spine."
Yeah, and then like he ends up on a cart, and the cart is moving all around. And there's,
that cart stuff is funny, where he gets up and he doesn't know he's on a cart,
Yeah.
and he's like, whoa.
I mean, I was like getting vertigo because like I'm afraid of heights, and like just watching this, I was like, ugh, it kind of freaks me out.
There's a really funny shot. It's like looking down. I think it's like Brian Haley. Maybe he like falls into a dumpster. It's like-
Yeah.
it's really well done.
I love, like I said,
his
the
head
guy's
hits a bucket.
falling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Joey Montana, Joey Pants, he gets into like wet cement, and then later he's like, I gotta get this off before it dries. Kind of funny.
What's weird about this whole sequence is it doesn't really build to like the big climactic finale you think it will.
No.
It just kind of runs out of steam, and it's like, that's it.
Yeah, it's like,
he's trapped at the
Yeah,
top.
Joe Montana gets like out on I don't know, it's like a construction crane or
He
something.
somehow is
Yeah.
on like a ball on a chain.
Like you expect it to be like collapsing by the end.
yeah, but
like
it just sort of like the sun sets.
And then all the construction workers go home,
Go
and
for
they're
the
just
day.
like, see ya. And then
Yeah, I
they
do love there's a steam whistle, and all the construction workers just drop what they're doing.
yeah.
And
They
just-
leave all the equipment like in midair, and they're just
Yeah.
like, oh, time to go home.
Yeah, and of course, at this point, the baby is being lowered down onto a platform that has no one manning it, and no one even looking at it, and he just crawls away.
He crawls away.
That's what I think is the Vern Troyer shot.
Oh, when he crawls around the corner?
Yeah, because you can tell by the hair. It's like when you get that, like, there's that scene too where they're in the limo coming up where it's like the baby's looking out the back of the window. That baby was not in that set. Because it's just, you can tell even like when it's supposed to be on his face, it's all like blacked out. And it's just, I don't know if, because I'm assuming like with a baby, even with twins, you can only have them work like, what, 6 hours a day or so?
Yeah, so they would have had to shoot around that.
That's probably why there's so much stuff with like the mom and the nanny and all this, like these sappy moments, is because they really, you couldn't have this baby in every scene. They try, but you can't, for child labor laws, I'm sure they had to like work around that. And I think that's why so many like producers didn't want to touch this movie.
Well, if it happened now, you know what it would be?
It'd be the Son of the Mask baby.
CGI baby. And I don't want
Wouldn't
that
be funny.
No.
Well, maybe Roger Ebert would like it more, considering that you guys have seen that famous video review, right? Where he gets into a fight with Gene Siskel about it?
No, I don't
About
think
this
so.
movie?
Yeah, Gene Siskel gives it a thumbs up, and like Roger Ebert is like furious. And his main sticking point is that like he wants you to laugh at a baby in danger.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
The baby's not even really in danger.
Yeah, it's like, I hate in movies like this where they have to keep showing reaction shots of the baby having fun and smiling.
Yeah.
Or like they do that with like Foley as well. They just do it with like a sound effect of the baby like hee hee hee, like giggling.
Michael Jackson?
Yeah.
He did ADR on this movie.
Oh, no. So, like, we get through the big construction climax, which the poster and the trailers would lead us to believe is the finale of the film. And it's like, nope, like Joe said, there's still 20 minutes left to this movie.
This is insane. It should wrap up at this point. Like
I didn't remember what the end was, but then I remembered that shot of Eddie Bracken, like, watching the news at that old soldiers' home. They cut to him earlier in the movie.
Right.
Very randomly. And it's like... Yeah, Mr. Duncan, I think is his name, from Home Alone 2.
Yeah.
Classic character. Just seems like a very sweet old man. And I guess that's like they're going to foreshadowing that we're coming back to this character.
Yeah,
also, apparently,
it's
Baby Bink knows an old soldier's home by the sight. So,
was that in the book too?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So wait, you said that there was like a pig that's not in the movie that was in the book?
There's one scene where he looks at like the book and there's a pig. It's like a really weird, like humanoid pig-looking face.
What's weird about this whole climax is the movie seems to think we want to see these guys finally be arrested, and it's like we don't care. It just makes me feel sad.
No,
let the baby go home, and it shouldn't matter.
Yeah,
but that when Fred Thompson comes in as like, we got this report, all the baby here, the baby there, and when you realize what's happening, it's like, oh no. And then, Cynthia Nixon, who's like, the baby's following the book. And it's like, it's such a weak reveal of like...
I know where he's going to be next. It's a terrible, obviously. Like, it's like we're supposed to be like surprised by this.
But it's so lame. He didn't even need that connection.
Because there is like earlier in the movie, they at least bother to like show transitions of what the images look like in the book. So the baby sees the bus and it cuts to like... the image from his book, but like towards the end of this movie, it's like how he goes from the construction site to just knowing where a retirement home is. It's just completely it's pulled out of nowhere.
And this climax has no big slapstick or anything.
No.
They just get arrested.
The
and
tone
it takes
is
forever.
ridiculous, and the music is insane.
Oh,
it is so inappropriate. It's like,
it's
like
awful.
What?
Just awful.
What am I supposed to be feeling right now?
Yeah.
It was so like from a different movie. That's how I felt.
Well, apparently, according to Brian Haley, this was one scene that John Hughes oversaw, was this whole old soldiers home bit with them singing "This is the Army, Mr. Brown" or something. He oversaw that scene. So I don't know if like tonally that's what he imagined the movie would be more like, because it does feel like a completely different movie.
Yeah, and it's like, well, it's another opportunity to wrap up the movie. It's like, okay, have them come there, pick up the baby. That's it. Hey, great.
Also, I love that a baby just wandered in there and no one bothered to call the police. They're just like, let's sing with them.
Let's sing to it. So, yeah.
And also, Roy Wally from Vacation that Chevy Chase takes hostage.
Yeah. Wow, okay.
And so this movie wraps up. We got smiles on our faces and tears on our cheeks.
Oh, no.
And we
Justin,
can't wait for
Justin,
the.
no.
Yeah, I know.
No,
One more
it's-
book, right?
No,
Boo-boo.
it's not over. It's not over.
What's it? Go on.
No, I'm just saying.
You're just saying it's not over.
I-
Well, when I was
once
talking about the
again-
inappropriate music, I was talking about this scene, the clock tower, or whatever it is.
The TikTok.
Yeah, a coffee thing.
The TikTok and the boo-boo and the, it's just like, it's utterly ridiculous.
Even the cop is like had enough of the movie at this point.
Well,
He's
the fact.
How would you have like a big clock and no one hangs off of it?
I know.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's true. Yeah.
Seemed like
they
it
come
was
very
set up.
close. They end up on that roof early in the movie, and nothing happens with that clock.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess because Baby Bink is saying boo boo, they realize that that's where the book is, meaning that must be where the kidnappers is.
Yeah, so they turn this motorcade around based on the mom's hunch that that's what the baby means.
They get the helicopters out too.
Yeah, and it's like they
Yeah.
say go send,
they're
send
rich.
backup. And
They-
like,
they're helping the people.
Yeah,
that,
exactly.
they always
That's
help.
true.
So I guess they arrest the three guys and that's it. Like there was no big payoff.
No.
Like
No.
to that scene.
Well, that
so
would have happened
weird.
in the baby's trip to China.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I'm sure if they had made in 1996 would have been very inoffensive and politically
Wait,
correct.
was that actually planned?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
my God.
that to me is like John Hughes. That just like there's a level of ego there where it's like, all right, Home Alone and Home Alone 2, they were huge, made such, this is going to be just a huge hit, so we're just going to lead right into that sequel, and it's like, yeah, not happening.
Yeah,
No.
unlike
Well,
movies
Hey,
today.
if Disney needs more content, how is Baby's Day Out doing on there?
It's going to be like a 12-part series for
12
Disney
Either
Plus.
that or they're
Prestige
gonna
series.
reboot it like they did that Home Alone, Home Sweet
And
Home.
then,
No,
it'll
they'll have a documentary on Disney Plus with Peter Jackson finding the script.
of Baby's Day Out in
He's
China.
He's going to find that lost footage
Man,
and
the
give us the
street-
4-hour version.
Yeah, I couldn't. The text was very faded, so I used AI to boost the text. And then now we.
What if Peter Jackson admits he's like, I'm blind. I've been blind for the last 10 years.
Yeah, I know that you and Will were really, really rough on the digital smoothing of Get Back.
It
and
is,
I know
yeah,
it
it
looks like
looks
shit.
bad, but come on, it's still cool.
Well,
But it looks like shit.
Yeah.
Saying the fact that we could see all that footage was cool.
yeah, that's great.
Yeah, just give us the footage though. Don't
Yeah.
smooth it out.
Well, there's a fine line. It's like
Yes.
maybe clean it
Maybe
up to
too
a certain
much.
point, but when you see it in this new music video,
Ugh.
cut back to back with like
Yeah.
actual old grainy footage,
Yeah.
it looks like AI generated. Like it doesn't look real.
That early CG in like The Frighteners looks better.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just think no one's telling him no, and he's like, I guess this is good.
yeah. Keep going.
Like,
He just really hates grain, man.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the movie is over, but Joe, you have not said what your favorite thing was about the movie.
I think honestly, it's the three of them. It's any scene with these three guys in it, and especially this. Like, I love this stuff when they're like trying to put the baby to sleep and they're like smacking each other, and like that Three Stooges-esque stuff to me. I think that works. It's just everything else just really takes away from that. But yeah, I love the two Joes and Brian Haley. They're just really funny.
What if they came back? It was like they get their own spin-off.
Like a new adventure.
Yeah.
That'd be great. They're finally getting out of prison.
Yeah, but there's no.
And they're going after like 30-year-old Baby Bink.
That's the
you
reboot.
want to do it one more time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been like harboring revenge all these years in prison, and they're going out after him.
And Joe Montana turned into a baby. He gets hit in the head or something like that, and they have to save him.
What?
Lots of opportunities there.
Yeah, it's just amazing that this movie comes out 4th of July weekend in 1994.
Oh my god.
And apparently that's only because James Cameron needed more time for True Lies. And Fox was like, all right, we need a movie to fill the summer slot. Like, let's rush Baby's Day Out. So that's why there's like so much wonky tech stuff in this movie. Like, they just wanted it out as quick as possible. And it opened like against The Lion King. So like
oh
it just
my
got,
god.
I think it opened at number 9. Like, it just got destroyed.
Oh, wow.
Where do you stand, Joe, on the Farrelly Brothers Three Stooges?
I think there's a lot of good in it, but I think it was like the concessions they had to make to get that movie made, like, kind of ruin it.
Oh, I love that Three Stooges movie.
Yeah,
I
there's
would recommend
good
it to
in it.
everyone.
There's
Yeah.
good in it. It's just like the stuff with the Jersey Shore cast.
Yeah,
and,
I can look past that.
It's like
'cause,
there's a lot of studio stuff where they're like, well, we're not going to take a plunge on a brand that's like 70 years old. So we got to put some I get why they did it, but to me, it kind of takes away from the slapsticky stuff. But it's still, it's an admirable attempt.
All right. Well, that's it for Baby's Day Out until we do it again, right, guys?
So Baby's Day Out, as we mentioned, is on Disney Plus. And would we recommend it?
No.
I would not.
I think if you are a Joey Pants fan or a Joe Montana
completionist
fan, I would say yes.
A Joe Montana completionist?
Otherwise, no. Or maybe if you have kids, like your kids would probably like this.
No, there's plenty of other stuff.
I'm just trying to be nice. I don't think it's like
Patrick Reed Johnson could listen to this. Brian Haley could listen to this.
Yeah, I think
again,
so.
It seems like everyone had a good time making it. It just
Yeah.
didn't translate over, which is always sad. But yeah, you gotta give Patrick Reed Johnson credit for at least trying to make the best of it, and he's had an interesting career, like we talked about.
Yeah. So if you want to email the podcast, we're at nosuchthingasabadmovie@gmail.com, and we're on Twitter and Instagram and Blue Sky at nosuchthingpod. And if you would like to support the podcast, we're on patreon.com/nosuchthingasabadmovie. And if you subscribe at the $5 level, you get a bonus episode every 2 weeks, and also access to over 100 of these bonus episodes, including some commentary tracks and new full-length episodes. And Colin and I were also recently on an episode of Sardonicast talking about all the Cube movies. So if you're a fan of I Hate Everything and Your Movie Sucks, it was a really, really good time. You can find that on YouTube and all other places where podcasts are found. And if you want to find me, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at April Atmansky.
You can find me on Twitter, Justin DeClue, and all the other social places there as well.
You can find me on Twitter, Sergeant Zima, SGTZIMA. How about you, Joe?
You can find me at Joe Ramoni on Twitter. And obviously, I run Hats Off Entertainment, and we have a podcast called Almost Cult Classics, which you can find on all the podcast platforms.
Awesome.
Guys, you're definitely going to want to check out a video on Bad Santa 2, the best of Leslie Nielsen farting on television. Well,
I really
not really farting. I was a little disappointed. It's his fart machine.
I like the video on the Chevy Chase talk show.
Oh,
I
my
rewatched
God.
that recently just because it's so funny.
That Chevy Chase talk show, I think about him throwing the basketball and it cutting to a close-up of the basketball going in all the time.
I think I told these guys, but I recorded that. I watched that show as it aired.
Yes, and you had
I
all of it on tape.
videotaped the first, 4 episodes or 3 episodes or something.
I think there are a few that are lost to time. So it's a shame you don't have those. I think there's a few you can't find. Yeah, that are
really
just got to be.
Someone somewhere has taped them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're in the same vault as the missing Baby's Day Out footage.
Exactly.
It's all in the same.
My VHS tape is in a landfill somewhere with all the Baby Binks
Yeah.
robots that were used in this film.
Wow.
But guys, thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun to talk about this movie with you.
Yeah,
And
thanks
as a
for
fan
coming on.
As a fan of this show, it's been great.
Of course.
Our pleasure.
Yeah. So thank you for being on the show. And I'm April Atmansky.
I'm Justin DeClue.
I'm Colin Cunningham.
We were here today with
Joe Ramoni.
And remember, there's no such thing as a bad movie.